Alright guys, let's get back to it here, and we're going to cover our next lesson here as we start off the class and just start talking about the Swift language and the programming language we're going to use and some of the basic things that we're going to cover here. So let's go ahead and open up Xcode, and we're going to use a new feature of Xcode. We're going to work with something called a playground. So it's right here in the top. Go ahead and click on a playground for me. Just open that up, and then the setup steps, not as involved. Alright, but let's go ahead and give this one the name of variable practice. Alright, go ahead and click on next for me. And then from there, just, we got to save it up. So I'm just going to create this on my desktop. And then we'll come right into a playground here. All right, so actually I'm going to change this so it's a little easier for you guys to see. Again, it's within Xcode. If you go to Xcode and preferences, you can change kind of the color scheme of your layout, up to you if you want to change that. But I'll pick this white one here so it's a little easier to work with. So a playground's a great place to kind of check out code and try things out and also learn new things. So that's why we're going to use our playgrounds to practice and play around with some Swift code here. So how playgrounds work is basically anything I do on the left side of the screen here will compile and run over on the right side. So it's a good way to test things out. All right, so let's go ahead and let's delete out that line of code that I just did. All right, and what we're going to do here, yeah, we'll ignore that here. So what we're going to do at this point here is we're going to go ahead and just type in a comment variables. All right, so comments are useful in your code, and to put that in there, it's just two backslashes, and then you type in the word variable. So that basically tells the compiler this is not code, don't run it. But a variable is basically a way to store information in your code. Okay, so we're going to talk about the different ways we can do that there, but it's basically just a different way of storing. So there's two types of variables. There's variables and there's constants, or two ways to store information, excuse me. So we're going to talk about variables. Okay, the first one. So anytime I want to do a variable, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just type in the keyword var. Okay, so that, as you can see there, Swift is always going to give you some kind of tips like, oh, you're getting close, and that's where basically we're using the word var, which is short for variable, so pretty easy to remember. So go ahead and hit enter on that. If you hit enter, it kind of gives you kind of a guide on what to put where. We're getting an error right now because we're missing some things here. So let's go ahead and create a variable, and we'll call this variable name of, actually, let's back that up here. We'll go number of states. All right, in the U.S. Okay, so as I'm typing that in, you're noticing I started with a lowercase m, and then all my other letters started with capital letters. We call that camel casing, and that is a must when we do our code. All right, so every time we do that, you'll get in the habit of it, but we always want to make sure we do that. So now whenever we're creating a variable, all right, we got to do a few different things here. So first things we got our keyword var. The name of the variable is number of states. The next thing we got to do is give it a type. All right, so is it a number? Is it a word? What is it? All right, so for this one, we're going to go ahead and give this a type of int, which is a whole number. 1, 2, 5, 7, like any whole number we're going to work with. Okay, so then we've got an equal sign. So basically that is, like in math, we got to assign this. We got to give it a value. So we'll give that a value of 50. Okay, so now our errors are going to go away. So we have basically just declared a variable. Okay, we have var, which is variable keyword. Number of states in the U.S. is basically the name of the variable. We gave it a type int, and then we gave it that number 50. So now we've created this little container called number of states. So if I wanted to call the variable, all right, I can just start typing in number of states, and Xcode's going to pick up on that, and I can hit enter, and you'll notice, all right, once I get these errors go away, that it's still assigned to the value of 50. All right, so then I can use that any time that I'd like to there. And again, it's always going to output on the right to check that out. Okay, the nice thing about it, again, once you type in var number of states, you don't have to use var anymore. You just type in number of states, and you can use that variable over and over in your code. All right, so it just makes things a little simpler sometimes. And also makes your code look a little more organized. Okay, so pretty nice feature. So now, if let's say we wanted to change this, let's say number of states in the U.S. Let's say we drop a state for whatever reason. Very easy to do. Okay, so basically, or if we wanted to add it, let's go more positive. We'll say we're going to add it. So again, I'm going to call this variable again. And you'll notice I can call this variable as many times as I want to, which is kind of nice. You can do it. There's not a limit. And then if I want to add to this here, let's say we added 2 states. I just go number of states in the U.S. plus the number 2. Okay, and that's going to, as you can see there, changes our total to 52. Okay, because we added 50 plus 2. So now when I call that, you'll notice when it produces its output, we're at 52 Oh, actually, hang on a second here. Let me back up on that. Yeah, I know what the issue is right there. We'll fix that up. Okay. And so as we're working through our code right now, okay, we're going to see a few things here. So when I call it right now, again, we've only changed the value of number of states in this line right here. Okay. So what we would need to do there to change that is we'd have to put a new variable on that. So if I could say var new number, let me fix that again, doing my camel casing, is going to equal to number of states in US plus 2. Okay, so that equals out to our 52. And now when I call new number, okay, we're now living with 52. Okay, so yeah, sorry for that slight oversight on my part there. Okay, but that's the idea. So the thing about variables is you can change them. All right, again, they're variables, so things change. They don't have to stay the same there, which is pretty nice. Okay, so now again, as you're looking at this code again, so basically how this reads there, you got your variable keyword. You kind of read it this way: new number gets a value of number of states plus 2, which is equal to 52. Okay, so again, you can change these over and over. If I were to say number of states in the U.S. is equal to 55, I've changed the value there, so you can see everything else below changes. Okay, this number of states is now 55. All right, it changes down here to 57. So again, everything's kind of tied in together. So just be careful when you're working through your code there with what you're doing there. Okay, so that's working with variables. Okay, so the second type of storage option that we can work with is something called a constant. Okay, so a constant is something you cannot change. Okay, so again, maybe you have some code that it's never going to change. So to do that, it's a similar idea. You got to start with a keyword, and the keyword for constants is let, L-E-T. Okay, so that's going to be the beginning part there. Okay, and then if we were going to say let number of students, all right, in class. Okay, again, so this is a number that's not going to change. We're going to keep everyone in here. We'd have to type that. So same thing. We'd go int and set that equal to what I think there's 18. So that number is now in there as the constant 18. So now again, what are the differences? It doesn't seem like much. Yeah, we changed the name. So how does a constant differ from a variable? So a variable, you recall, we can change. Right? We can change the different amounts and everything. We can add on to it. We can modify it. Constants we can't. All right. So if I were to go number of students in class, again using my autocomplete feature, and then let's say I wanted to change that to 20. You're going to see we're going to get a nice little error coming up here, right? Because it's saying, wait a minute, what are you talking about? So when you click on this red circle, it says cannot assign value number of states because it's a constant. It's telling you that. Nice thing about this is it will offer to fix it for you. It's going to say, hey, we can change this if you'd like, but we're not going to. We're going to leave it as let, and we're just going to go ahead and get rid of that last part of code to get rid of our errors. Okay, so kind of just a beginning lesson here, just covering variables and constants and when you're going to use them. So again, kind of the general rule of thumb is to use constants as much as you can. All right, but again, there are going to be times you need to use variables to change things. Okay, but again, just want to give you kind of some start practice here, or starter practice on this. Then I'm going to give you some review problems to work on as well to kind of see if you can create your own. All right, but again, ask questions, get help when you need it. All right, and if things are getting just I don't want you falling behind too early, but hopefully this stuff is making sense to you to begin with. So nice job covering this one. We'll see you on the next one, and we'll talk in class with some more and cover any questions you may have. Thanks, guys.